Part 23. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 221. Rumble. There was lightning and thunder in the sky, strong winds swept through, and huge waves were set off. Amidst the violent storm, a large pirate fleet was riding the wind and waves in the huge waves. Boom. Several huge currents rose into the sky, biting towards the netherworld like sea snakes. Helio jumped up, and several slashes shot out of the air, splitting the sea current into pieces. Calibrate current, which number is this? Lucifer sat on the bow of the ship, unmoving. Naturally, his pirates had to deal with the currents that attacked the pirate ship. As the world's #1 pirate group, they can still deal with the currents of snakes. The key is not to swim. The snake sea current lies in the danger level of the sea. After obtaining the accurate coordinates of Rafdru, Lucifer led the nether pirates to set sail. When they arrived in the sea area, Lucifer understood why it was so. For many years, no one has been able to reach Rafdru. One of the reasons is that the coordinates of Rafdru are hidden and cannot be found by ordinary people. The more important reason is that the sea area is too dangerous. So far, Lucifer has encountered everything that will appear on the Grand Line. Horrible weather. Sometimes there is hail in the sky, each hailstone is as big as an iceberg. Sometimes it is snowing, and the snowflakes do not fall one by one, but 1 ton. Sometimes the sea suddenly cracks, and the sea level is 90. If you are not careful, the ship will be destroyed and people will be killed. There are also thunderstorms, and what falls in the sky is not rain, but thunder and lightning. Various dangerous marine climates similar to the serpentine current also emerge in endlessly. All the dangerous climates and ocean currents of the Grand Line will appear here, and will not stop for a moment. Boom. A thunder interrupted Lucifer's thoughts. I saw lightning lighting up in the sky, and there seemed to be countless electric snakes swimming in the deep clouds. The lightning caused the waves in the ocean to the sea snake became more restless and attacked the pirate ship with more ferocity. Thick thunder and lightning fell from the sky, covering the sea area to form a lightning prison. Sea snakes and thunderstorms make this welcome ceremony really grand. Lucifer looked up at the sky and sighed in his heart. Ordinary people would not dare to approach such a dangerous sea area. Some people who are unlucky and accidentally enter will soon be defeated by the dangerous climate, and the ship will be destroyed and people will die. Without strength, it is impossible to pass through the sea of death. This is the natural barrier of Rafdru, which is used to screen out those unqualified passers-by. In the past 800 years, only the Roger pirates finally conquered the Sea of Death. Arriving at Rafdru behind the Sea of Death. Phew. Behind Lucifer, an arrow turned into lightning and shot into the sky, shooting into the high-altitude clouds. As the lightning flashed, all the thunder and lightning was sucked into his body. The thunderstorm weather is harmful to others. It was said to be a natural disaster, but to Enel, it was just a delicious meal. In this way, the nether pirates conquered various dangerous climates and went deep into the heart of the Sea of Death. The Sea of Death is not only full of dangers, but also very vast. The road it took Ziffa and others 7 days without sleep to finally break through the last line of defense in the Sea of Death. Poof. After passing through the dark fog, the warm sunshine finally hit Lucifer again. Behind the black fog, Lucifer again once I saw the blue sea and sky. The sea surface was sparkling, and there were countless small fish swimming underwater. Occasionally, fish jumped out of the water and danced, splashing a little bit of water. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and the members of the Netherworld Pirates group everyone cheered. The previous 7 days and 7 nights were too difficult. They were on the verge of death every moment. If they were not careful, they would die. Finally found. Lucifer stood on the bow of the ship, looking with burning eyes at an island in the sea in the distance. His sixth sense told him that the island was the end of the great route, Rafdru. It's here, it's finally here. Raf Drew, that's Raf Drew. Roger's treasure is hidden there. One Piece. Tens of thousands of pirates looked excited, some cheered and shouted, and some cried with excitement. Everyone's eyes were focused on Lucifer, waiting for Lucifer's next order. They couldn't wait and didn't want to wait for a second. And Lucifer didn't keep them waiting. Hey guys, the whole army sets sail and lands at Ravdrug. Oh! The mighty pirate fleet headed towards Ravdrug. There was no more danger in this process. All the dangers were within the natural defense line of Ravdrug. Bang! Lucifer jumped from the bow of the ship, and the first 3 people landed on the ground of Ravdrug. A footprint was left on the beach. This was the second time that humans landed on this island after the Roger pirates. As Lucifer landed, the leader of the Nether pirates, Red Earl Ryder, Vabel, Uzhiliu and others also landed on the island one after another. Ravdru is very large, with dense forests and towering ancient trees on the island. There is no one there all year round, which gives the island a very strong atmosphere of vicissitudes of life. Humans once lived here. Lucifer walked through the dense forest and occasionally saw broken city walls. Those city walls and building fragments looked like they were man-made. Destruction of human civilization. As he went deeper, Lucifer saw more and more building fragments. Finally, Lucifer passed through the dense forest and saw a broken and destroyed city. The walls were broken and the buildings were devastated. Although there were only ruins left, Lucifer still remained. I can imagine what the city once looked like. The city before its destruction was definitely more spectacular and greater than any city Lucifer had ever seen. Even the Holy Land Marijoa was only 1/10 of the size here. It seems like there was a big battle here. Ameshiliu moved his nose, and he could still vaguely smell the faint smell of blood in the air. I don't know how many years have passed since the war, but the smell of blood still exists, which shows how tragic the original war was. Presumably even Lucifer, the decisive battle of the century that was set off, could not compare to this original battle. Hey, come and see. Suddenly, a burst of exclamation came. Lucifer stepped forward and came to a huge pit. When he saw the scene at the bottom of the pit clearly, Lucifer's pupils suddenly tightened. White bones. The bottom of the pit was full of white bones. They were densely packed and boundless. The number of bones can no longer be calculated, but Lucifer roughly estimated that it must be more than 1 million. This is a mass grave, and more than 1 million people have died here. They may have been thrown into the pit after death, or he was driven into a pit while he was still alive and then slaughtered mercilessly. Lucifer turned on his haki and felt countless ghosts wailing miserably in his ears. They were all undead who died here, even if they had been dead for hundreds of years. Their souls cannot rest in peace either. They are still hating the world and the world government. Isn't it terrible? What happened here? Massacre. 1 million people. Even members of the Netherworld pirates, who have killed countless people, can't help but feel a little frightened at this moment. The number of 1 million is really astonishing. However, this is just the beginning. Soon, someone discovered the other 10,000 people pits. One after another, there are 13 in total. If 1 million people are buried in each mass grave, then the number of people buried in these 13 mass graves has exceeded 10 million. Many pirates who have experienced many battles, I was already a little scared at this moment. Looking at the mass graves at my feet, everyone's body was shaking and cold sweat broke out. That's right, this should be the place where the world government launched the decisive battle 800 years ago. It was also after this battle that the world government gained the power to rule and remained standing for 800 years. Lucifer looked at the mass graves at his feet with an expressionless expression. Although there is no historical data to prove it, Lucifer could only think of this possibility. Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise shook the sky and shocked everyone. Everyone looking up, I found that a few pirates had touched a building. Maybe it was severely weathered over the years this year. The wall fell down as soon as I touched it. Bastard, don't touch it. I was shocked. If you dare to act rashly again, I will chop off your hand. A pirate captain yelled. It was his pirates who caused the commotion. Of course he had to step up and teach him. However, before he finished speaking, another shocking picture followed. The pirate touched the wall. As if a fuse was lit. The collapse of the wall triggered a chain effect. The dilapidated high-rise buildings fell one after another, revealing the dark secrets that had been covered up. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 222. After the ruined city collapsed, a huge creature was revealed under the ruins. It was a huge skeleton tens of thousands of meters long, almost endless as far as the eye could see. Although only the skeleton is left, it still exudes an extremely terrifying and sinister aura. The aura burst out, and tens of thousands of pirates were all frightened, standing there sluggishly, unable to move. At this moment, a terrifying giant dragon appeared in the minds of all the pirates. Staring at its two huge eyes, the pirate felt as if his soul was about to ascend to heaven. "Wake up!" Lucifer yelled angrily, waking up all the pirates from their surroundings. Countless pirates backed away and finally sat on the ground, gasping for air. After coming back to their senses, they were still frightened. Unknowingly, their clothes had been soaked in cold sweat. What kind of monster is this? Horrible, terrible. Is it a dragon? Is this too big? The blue dragon transformed by Babel cannot be compared with it at all. Not only are their bodies incomparable, but their evil aura and ferocious aura are also completely incomparable. Captain Lucifer, do you know what this is? Enilu, Babel, and other cotters looked at Lucifer with questioning eyes. Lucifer looked at the huge skeleton in front of him expressionlessly and already had an idea in his mind. This should be the King of Heaven. The legendary ancient weapon, King Uranus. However, this king is already dead, and it should have been dead for 800 years. King of Heaven. Hearing the name of the heavenly king, the legendary pirates such as Hero of the Rain, Pizarro, and Chode were immediately shocked. They were all powerful figures and knew a lot about the secrets of the world, so they naturally knew the name of the heavenly king. 3 All ancient weapons have the power to destroy the world. Among them, King Uranus is the most famous among the 3 kings and is obviously the strongest. Unexpectedly, the King of Heaven would die here. Red Earl Rider looked at the King of Heaven with burning eyes, and the shock in his heart could not be greater. Yes, who would have thought that the King of Heaven would also fall? Who killed it? The King of Heaven is capable of destroying the world, and if he can kill it, he must have paid a huge price. Being able to kill the King of Heaven shows that the government of the world must still have hidden power. But the King of Heaven is really scary. He has been dead for 800 years, but he still has such terrifying evil aura. I really don't know how terrifying the King of Heaven must be in his heyday. A group of cotters talked incessantly, and the shock in their eyes slowly faded away. At the same time, they became extremely wary of the world's government. After the decisive battle of the century, the people of the Netherworld pirates had developed a contempt for the world's government. In their view, all the navy elites were lost, and the world government without external defense would be easily defeated by them. But the corpse of the king in front of them sounded the alarm for them. The world government 800 years ago to be able to kill the terrifying King of Heaven must also be hiding a very powerful power. If you despise the world's government, you will definitely suffer a disastrous defeat. Let's search again and see what else we find. Where is the treasure? Where is the treasure left by Roger? Why is the legendary secret treasure still missing? While Lucifer was observing the wreckage of the King of Heaven, the members of the Netherworld pirates had already separated to search for the legendary great secret treasure. Lucifer went deep along the wreckage of the King of Heaven and found a pitch-black hill in its belly. On the surface of the hill covered with mud and rattan, the original appearance can no longer be seen. What's this? Lucifer felt a familiar atmosphere from inside the hill. With a wave of his hand, he wiped away the mud and rattan on the surface of the hill, revealing its original appearance. Crimson stone? Historical text. Yes, the original face of the hill is clearly the red text of history, but it is difficult to see because it is covered with mud and rattan. Such a large historical text. Ordinary historical texts are only a few meters high, but the one in front of Lucifer is 500 to 600 meters high, almost like a hill. The red stone is covered with ancient writings on all sides, densely packed like a book from heaven. Nicole Robin, come here. Lucifer shouted, and Robin came over immediately. When she saw the red stone in front of her, her eyes almost fell out in surprise. It's yours, translate the text above. In 800 years, you should be the first historian to arrive at Ravdrua, and the second person who can translate this red stone. At your command, Captain Lucifer. Robin received the instruction and immediately began to decipher the crimson stone. The crimson stone was very large and contained many words, so it would take some time to decipher it. Taking advantage of this time, Lucifer began to explore the entire Ravdrua island. Ziffa flew into the sky, looked down from the sky, and took in all the scenery of the island. There were architectural remains everywhere on the island, radiating in all directions from the center of the island. Although the city had been destroyed, it was still possible to vaguely see what happened 800 years ago. The grandeur and magnificence of this country. The world government can gain the power to rule the world by overthrowing the previous ruler. And this should be the country of the previous world ruler. It is also the place where the ruler fell. Big secret treasure. Are you really still here? Lucifer felt from the beginning that the great secret treasure left by Roger would not be as simple as gold and silver treasures. If the legendary great secret treasure were gold and silver treasures, it would be too superficial and unworthy of so many pirates. Heroes chase. People like Kaido and Big Mom, which one is not a hero on the sea? If they want treasure, they only need to say a word. Even if it is a mountain of gold and silver, they will not take a second look. So Roger, the great secret treasure left behind must have a special significance. Maybe it is just a sentence, a story, a piece of history, a truth. But this story, or this history, has the power to change the world. That's why Roger put it remains, waiting for future generations to discover and publish it to the public. A premonition is a premonition. When Lucifer set foot on Ravdrua and saw the remains of the King of Heaven and the historical text, this premonition became more and more real. Captain, I've read it. Suddenly, Nicole Robin's voice sounded. Lucifer fell from the sky and landed next to Robin. Then, Robin began to interpret the information recorded on the red stone for Lucifer. This red stone is the only one, and it is recorded on it. There is a history of the country that existed above Ravdrua, and there is also a blank history of 100 years, as well as information about the King of Heaven. 800 years ago, there was a country located in Ravdrua that once ruled the world. Living in this country there is a special race in it. They are all extraordinary and powerful. The world has no power to resist them, so they can only surrender. Later, the rule of this country became increasingly cruel, so all humans and major races in the world united under together, they launched an uprising against the ruling country. The leader of this uprising was Joyboy. In order to defeat the brutal ruler, Joyboy mobilized manpower and material resources to build the ancient battleship Hades. He also invited the original mermaid princess to assist. Because the mermaid princess has the power to control the Sea Kings and played a huge role in the war, so she was given the name of the Sea King. The King of Heaven is the war weapon that brutally rules the country. It was a giant dragon they raised. That 800 years ago the First World War affected the entire world. In the end, the country where the brutal ruler lived was defeated and the entire family was killed. However, on the eve of victory, Joy Boy's generals betrayed him and seized the fruits of victory. There were 20 generals, they were the kings of 20 countries. After killing Joy Boy, they united together and became the new rulers of the world. They formed an organization to rule the world and invited other countries to join. This is what became of the world government. After ruling the world, the 20 kings erased all traces of Joy Boy's existence and all the history of brutally ruling the country. This is the so-called blank 100 years of history. After that, time passed, and the rule of the Genfu continues until today, 800 years later. However, the dragon slayer eventually became an evil dragon. The world Genfu, which overthrew the brutal rule 800 years ago, has now become an evil dragon that rules the world with cruelty. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 223. It's a pity for the fallen king to stay here. Let me make use of it in the end. Lucifer walked up to the remains of the King of Heaven, and the black knife Kyushui automatically appeared in his hand. With a swing of the knife, the autumn water pierced the skull of the King of Heaven. Then the skull of the King of Heaven rippled like running water, and the black knife Kyushui slowly sank into the skull of the King of Heaven. The black knife and autumn water entered the body, and the remains of the heavenly king suddenly took on aura. The aura was no longer death, but life. Boom! A ferocious aura that was 1,000 times more powerful than before erupted from the remains of the heavenly king, instantly covering it. The entire Ravdru. Tens of thousands of pirates on the island fell into panic, and everyone looked at the wreckage of the king at the same time. The eyes of the skull of the king's wreckage suddenly lit up with fire. Then, its huge body began to shake, climbing up slowly. Countless broken walls and ruins fell from the King of Heaven, and the King of Heaven's huge body of more than 10,000 meters finally rose again. Roar! A roar came from the King of Heaven's mouth, and the sound wave formed an impact wave, which immediately a ravine was plowed out of the ground ahead. All the soil and forests along the way were destroyed. The sound waves hit the sea, dividing the sea into a trench. Looking at the destruction caused by the king, tens of thousands of pirates were stunned. Just a sound roaring can be said to destroy the world. King of Heaven is resurrected. It's Captain Lucifer's ability. Terrible. Everyone was shocked and dumbfounded. Lucifer looked at his masterpiece and was very satisfied. He used nothing else but the soul fruit ability obtained by killing Big Mom. Lucifer had already given the soul fruit to Black Dao Chiu Shui, now the combination of Black Dao Chiu Shui and the remains of the Heavenly King has created this perfect masterpiece. Roar! The Heavenly King looks up to the sky and roars, his voice filled with extreme violence and killing intent. It rises into the sky and flies climbing up to the sky. He then glared at the lower-haired pirate with two huge flaming skull pupils. Endless murderous aura emerged, making tens of thousands of pirates shiver with chills all over their bodies. Captain! Captain Lucifer! Save, help! Countless pirates' legs were trembling and they asked for help. Facing such a terrifying monster, they felt that their life had been drained out. They wanted to run away, but their legs were not in control. Be honest. Lucifer's eyes widened, and the king of the sky was immediately shocked by the domineering aura. With a low roar, the violent murderous intention was dispersed. After resurrecting the king, Lucifer searched again in Ravdru. It was as he expected. There is nothing left from Ravdru. There is no so-called gold and silver treasure at all. Let alone treasure, there is not even a coin. The big secret treasure left by Roger is obviously the red stone that records history. Stone, and the remains of the King of Heaven. The truth of this period of history is the real secret treasure. After all, money cannot shake the world. But this period of history records the deepest darkness of the world. If it falls into the hands of someone with a heart, it can shake the rule of the world government. This is much more useful than gold and silver treasures. Rise. Lucifer put away the red stone with a claw of his big hand. Let's go, there's no point in staying here. Lucifer gave the order. After going out, go to war directly with the government of the world. Now that the time has come, Lucifer no longer wants to wait. Yes. The war is finally about to begin. The world is right, wake up. Tens of thousands of nether pirates were excited and unable to extricate themselves. Then, the mighty nether pirates' fleet left the Sea of Death and returned to the New World. At the same time, Lucifer landed on Rafdros. The news has spread all over the world. After Roger, the second pirate king finally appeared. The devil Lucifer becomes the pirate king. That guy finally did it. The great secret treasure left by Roger was obtained by Lucifer. The man who has everything in the world, wealth, power, fame. One Piece Lucifer. Newspapers reporting that Lucifer became the pirate king were flying all over the sky, and the world was boiling. In every corner of the world, everyone was talking about Lucifer. Just like when Roger became the pirate king many years ago, the world once again welcomed the pirate king. What One Piece? He's just a lowly pariah. Bang. Marijoa, between the powers. The curly-haired five-old star smashed the golden tea table with a slap, an endless murderous aura erupted from her body, covering the entire power room. Damn bastard, shaking the world again. The same goes for that rotten bird of Morgan's. He dares to report such news. Isn't he afraid of death? It's too late to say this now, the news has spread all over the world. The impact that Roger had many years ago is happening again today. No, Lucifer is more dangerous than Roger back then. Roger is not interested in the world, he just wants adventure, but Lucifer wants the whole world. The eyes of the long-haired five-old star were filled with cold light. Peace people sent back news that the netherworld pirates are already approaching Marijoa. There is no doubt that he is targeting us. The final showdown is coming. Damn it, I was forced to do this by a kid, it's so rude. The five old stars gnashed their teeth and cursed angrily. Their hatred for Lucifer could not be increased and they wished they could eat his flesh and drink his blood. Humph, it's not because you are too useless. Suddenly a cold snort sounded. The five old stars looked up at the same time and saw that the door to the power room was pushed open, and a man over 3 meters tall wearing a golden mask walked in. He exuded an extremely domineering aura, and that he is superior to the five old stars. He does not need to speak, nor does he need to bully others or boss him around. Just standing there, others will know at a glance that he is an arrogant guy. This kind of momentum will only appear on the Tianlong people. Faced with the rebuke from the visitors, Wu Laoxing rarely retorted with anger. Not only did they not get angry, but they chose to bow their heads. See Lord Iolia. The five old stars stood up at the same time and bowed to the visitor. Get up. Iolia waved his hand and walked to the sofa to sit down. The five old stars lined up in a row and stood side by side in front of him, with their heads lowered, waiting for lectures. I didn't expect that you would be the first to wake up, Lord Iria. We are honored to meet you. Even after 700 years, the reputation you left behind still owes us. The five old stars seemed extremely humble at this moment, and they all opened their mouths to please the person in front of them. This person's name is Iolia, a member of the Tianlong people. But the identity of the Tianlong people is obviously not as good as his other identity. One of the 8 kings. The 8 kings are the other 8 immortal celestial dragons except I'm. In the 800 years since the establishment of the world government, the celestial dragons have obtained the surgery fruit more than once, and have allowed those with the ability to perform the surgery fruit to perform immortal surgery. In the end those who benefit are the so-called 8 kings. Each of the 8 kings is terrifying in strength, and each one has the power of natural disasters. They are usually in a deep sleep state, and they will only wake up when the world government faces the threat of destruction. After the decisive battle of the century, I'm ordered the 5 old stars to awaken the 8 kings and the god guards. Aeolia was the first 8 kings to awaken. He was a celestial dragon 700 years ago and the best celestial dragon of that generation. That's why they are qualified to be granted eternal life by Im. The deeds of Aeolia 700 years ago have been forgotten by future generations. But the 5 old stars know it. So when facing this person, they dare not be disrespectful or presumptuous. There is only fear and awe in my heart. The 8 kings plus the king of the celestial dragons, Im, are the 9 pillars of the celestial dragon clan, each of them is a supreme existence. Aeolia's eyes looked through the golden mask, watching the 5. The old star said coldly, as soon as I woke up, I learned that an ant was provoking the supreme government of the world. Faced with this ant's provocation, the world's political governments have lost their troops and generals again and again, and have lost all face. You 5, do you want to give me an explanation? The plain voice fell. Wu Laoxing was startled, and cold sweat instantly wet his body. I'm sorry, Lord Aeolia, but I am incompetent. Wu Laoxing immediately fell to his knees and humbly begged for mercy. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 224. I'm sorry, Lord Aeolia, but I am incompetent. Wu Laoxing immediately fell to his knees and humbly begged for mercy. You are indeed incompetent. Another voice came. The second man wearing a golden mask appeared behind Wu Laoxing. He was extremely fast, as if he appeared out of thin air. Yo, you're awake too, Oxen. Aeolia greeted coldly. Long time no see. Oxen's attitude is also extremely cold. Although they are both 8 kings and have extremely noble status, the relationship between these 8 kings is not good. They are all powerful, domineering and ruthless figures, so naturally no one will accept it. Who? If it weren't for Im's suppression, the 8 kings would definitely fight on their own. Oxen walked to the sofa and sat down, crossed his legs, and said lightly, Ivernir, Ged, and the others are also awake. You were the first to wake up. Do you know anything about that untouchable kid? I was about to ask. Aeolia looked at Wu Laoxing and said, Tell me, how powerful is that untouchable? He can beat you like this. Yes. Then, the 5 old stars began to introduce Lucifer's origin, combat power, and various information about the netherworld pirates to the 2. That's it? After a long time, the curly-haired 5 old star stopped describing. He. Aeolia sneered, I didn't expect that a mere untouchable could actually reach that level. You bunch of trash are so awesome, you can actually let untouchables grow up peacefully. When Wu Laoxing heard this, his heart suddenly beat wildly, his whole body became cold, and he quickly lowered his head. Okay, now it's too late to worry about their responsibilities. The third man wearing a golden mask appeared by the window at some point. He looked at the ruins outside the window quietly and said coldly, Once that untouchable is dealt with, send them to the tribunal of God. Since things are not going well, you have to pay the price. God's Inquisition. After hearing these 5 words, Wu Laoxing's face turned pale and cold sweat spread all over his body. Lord Ivernir, How? Do you still want to beg for mercy? Ivernir said coldly, Your incompetence has caused the world to lose its face. The descendants of God have suffered heavy casualties. Going to God's tribunal is your only way to survive. Yes. The 5 old stars all bowed their heads. Of course they know that going to God's tribunal is their only way to survive. However, going to God's tribunal is a more terrifying place than hell. If they want to come out alive, the 5 of them must go through 18 hell of torture. Come and see me. Suddenly, a voice sounded among the powers. Upon hearing this voice, the 8 kings all stood up and bowed to show respect. I obey, Lord. I'm the only one who can rule the 8 kings is the king of the celestial dragons. I'm. Soon, Iolia and others arrived in front of the void throne. Here, the other 8 kings had arrived in advance. Iolia, Aokezan, and others stood at their own positions, and the 8 kings bent down at the same time and put their hands on their chests to salute. Meet me, my king. The 8 kings have a distinguished status. There is no need to kneel down and salute like the 5 old stars when facing I'm. Get up. Thank you, my king. I'm looked at the 8 kings under his command and said coldly, we haven't seen each other for 100 years. How are you all? I wake you up this time to extinguish a light. After 800 years, the world has forgotten the kindness bestowed upon them by the gods. This time, you want the world to know the power of gods. As you command, my king. The 8 kings hugged their chests and saluted at the same time. Lucifer led the Nether pirates through the New World and arrived under the Red Earth continent. The crimson Red Earth continent crawls like a giant dragon in the Wangyang Sea. Its majesty is moving. And today, the Netherworld pirates are going to conquer this giant dragon and trample it under their feet. Cavendish. Lucifer shouted from the bow of the Netherworld. Got it, Captain Lucifer. Cavendish stepped forward and raised his big hand. Hundreds of pirate ships on the ocean broke away from the shackles of the sea at the same time and soared into the sky. Soon, hundreds of pirate ships flew above the perfect height and came to the red soil big above the land. It seems that the world government is ready. Lucifer's domineering aura enveloped the entire holy land of Marijoya, and all life breaths were locked by him. In his perception, Marijoya hid more than 500,000 troops, among which there was a group of troops with powerful auras. The strongest, they are the 9 auras in Pangu city. These 9 auras are like 9 suns in the dark night, extremely dazzling. The Tianlong people came out in full force. Have all the combat forces finally arrived? The celestial dragons have hidden combat power, and Lucifer has known this for a long time. If they were hiding it, Lucifer would not be at ease. Now that all their combat power is out, Lucifer is happy. Let's go. Lucifer waved his hand, and hundreds of pirate ships flew towards Marijoya. Boom. 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 A series of loud noises erupted, and hundreds of pirate ships all landed on Marijoya. Marijoya remained the same. It maintains the appearance of being destroyed and bulldozed, with ruins and debris everywhere. It has not been long since Waldo invaded Marijoya, and the government of the world has not been able to complete its reconstruction in a short period of time. In front of the Nether pirates is the Navy, with the Navy is led by the Chief Admiral Cyborg Kong, followed by the Navy's Third Admiral. Looking at the strength of the troops, Cyborg Kong mobilized all the elites of naval branches around the world to gather up this army of 500,000. Lucifer, the sinner of the world, actually dares to fight against the world. The general of the entire army, Ganga Kong, stepped forward and roared angrily. Lucifer, do you know the serious consequences of doing this? Without the government of the world will perish. Do you know how many civilians this will cost? Cyborg Kong's voice was like thunder, echoing in Marijoya. Facing Cyborg Kong's question, Lucifer was expressionless and didn't want to reply. At this point, Lucifer and the world's government had nothing to say. Yes. Stop talking nonsense and get started. Lucifer grabbed it with his big hand, and an island fell from the sky and smashed straight towards the Navy. This island was the battlefield of the decisive battle of the century, Desert Island. Different from ordinary small islands, Desert Island was very huge. As soon as it appeared, it was directly blocked the sun. Countless Navy soldiers looked up and looked at the island crashing over their heads. Their legs were so frightened that they became weak. Come on, are you kidding me? This is the strength of the devil Lucifer, the strongest man in the world. What to do? What should we do? Doomsday, this is the end of the world. Is he a god? The 500,000 naval soldiers were at a loss, and their minds went blank. Lucifer's attack directly shattered their morale and fighting spirit. Facing a giant island, Cyborg Kong and the three Navy generals all felt powerless. If it were an ordinary small island, they could still deal with it. But for such a huge island, no matter how powerful their destructive power was, they would be helpless. General Fujitora stepped forward and swung his sword to create a purple halo, hitting the island in an attempt to slow down the island's fall. Speed, control, and levitate it. Unfortunately, the desert island is controlled by Lucifer at the moment. A mere Fujitora cannot resist at all. The moment the purple halo touched the island, it shattered. At the critical moment, a red circle the aperture shot out from Pangu City and hit the desert island. A powerful burst of force slowed down the falling speed of the desert island. In the end, the desert island suspended 100 meters in the sky, completely still. Oh, is this the hidden power of the world government? Lucifer looked at the golden masked figure that appeared, and raised the corners of his mouth with a playful sneer. The person's aura was very powerful, far more than an admiral, and stronger than the Whitebeard and Garp Lucifer had seen. According to Lucifer, it is judged that his strength is comparable to that of peak Whitebeard and Garp. Such a person must have awakened the domineering field. However, it is not yet known how much the three-color domineering field has been awakened. Only one of the 9 appears. You look down on me. Lucifer's eyes flashed with cold light, and he pointed his hand at the void and pressed. There was a loud bang, and the power of the golden figure was instantly crushed. Then, the desert island continued to fall, hitting the naval camp heavily. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 225. An island crashed down, and Marijoya suddenly collapsed, causing countless casualties. Miserable wails were heard one after another. Even though the 3 Navy generals, Cyborg Kong and the Celestial Dragon King took action, the 500,000 Navy elite still suffered numerous casualties. With just one move at the beginning of the war, the Navy killed more than 100,000 people. Lucifer, that bastard. The one who cursed was not Cyborg Kong or the 3rd Admiral of the Navy, but Marco, Jesus and the others. After the decisive battle of the century, Lucifer did not kill the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates and the red-haired pirates. Instead, they were imprisoned on a desert island. The desert island was suspended at an altitude of 10,000 meters. No one could escape except for flying. Marco could escape, but he would not abandon his companions and escape alone. So Lucifer took the remnants of a pirate group came to Marijoya. Although they were unwilling to surrender to Lucifer, at this moment, they had no choice. Coming to this battlefield, the pirates and the Navy were incompatible. They wanted to live, as long as can fight with the Navy. Marco, what do we do now? The foil sword Baista hacked 2 Marines to death and came to Marco's side to ask for countermeasures. Marco's solemn eyes swept the battlefield. They were surrounded by the Navy at the moment. There is no way. We cannot evacuate this battlefield with our strength alone. Even if we don't want to join the war, the Navy won't let us go. Bang! 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 As soon as he finished speaking, Marco's head was pierced by bullets, revealing 3 big holes. Of course, such an attack was useless to Marco, but he was very helpless. Lucifer was trying to catch a duck, driving the sow up the tree. They have to fight even if they don't want to. Lucifer, that bastard, I can't spare him. Baista cursed in a low voice. Okay, it's too late to say this now. Marco spread his wings, flew into the sky, and shouted loudly, all the members of the Whitebeard pirates, gather together. Marco knew that in this chaotic battlefield, fighting alone would only lead to self-destruction. They gathered together to keep warm and had a chance of survival. After hearing Marco's order, the Whitebeard pirates, the members, all went to the same place. At the same time, the members of the red-haired pirates also began to gather. The two remnants of the Yonko pirates, both of whom were driven to a dead end by Lucifer, looked a little sad at the moment. These remaining defeated generals still have some value. In the distance, on the bow of the netherworld, Eushelia blew out a smoke ring and smiled coldly. Lucifer said expressionlessly, "These people have great fighting power and can consume part of the navy's strength. In this way, the nether pirates can reduce casualties." "Well said." Enelu laughed loudly. "So what if you don't surrender? Are you still going to be cannon fodder for us now? Humble mortals, keep on killing." "Yeah, ha ha ha." Enelu's ridicule spread throughout Marijoya, which was very harsh. Phew. Suddenly, a golden light shot out, passed by Enelu's cheek, and shot to the back. A huge fireball exploded behind everyone. The shock wave swept over. "Yellow monkey, you are seeking death." With a flash of lightning, Eniru had shot out and flew towards the battlefield. There, the General Kizaru was raising his finger. Seeing Enelu coming to kill, Kizaru's mouth twitched. "It's really terrible." As soon as he finished speaking, a thick thunderbolt fell from the sky and hit Kizaru. A fierce explosion occurred, and Kizaru was engulfed in flames. Dozens of marines nearby were also engulfed by the flames and were shattered into pieces. "General Kizaru!" The Navy soldier roared in fright and saw a golden light rising into the sky from the sea of fire, colliding with the thunder and lightning in the sky. Then the electric light and golden light violently intertwined and collided in the sky. Each attack triggered a violent explosion. "Yellow monkey, I am no longer the same as before. Today, I will send you on your way." Eniru's roar sounded in the clouds, followed by lightning and thunder, and the endless tears fell like a tsunami, impacting Kizaru. The power of Enilu's moves was several times stronger than that in the desert island battle, and he could control dozens of enemies at any time. All the thunder and lightning inside. In one thought, endless thunders were waiting for orders to be used by him. In an instant, Kizaru was suppressed. "Awaken, your fruit power is awakened." Under the lightning, Kizaru's face showed an incredible look. "Yeah, ha 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 ha, yes, I have awakened my ability." Enilu transformed into the form of a thunder god, holding the thunder god's trident in his hand, and shot out huge thunder. At this moment, Enilu was like a thunder god floating in the sky. Impossible, no one can awaken the fruit ability so quickly, let alone the natural type. Devil fruit abilities are difficult to awaken. Many people with extraordinary abilities have spent their entire lives unable to awaken the fruit. Not to mention the natural ability. Among the three types of devil fruits, the natural ability is the most difficult to awaken. If you want to awaken, the natural system cannot be achieved by relying on natural talent alone. It also requires day and night practice, endless sweat, and a little chance to awaken. The three generals of the natural system of the Navy are all talented and evil people, and it is also a waste of time. It took more than 10 years, countless exercises, and bloody battles before he successfully awakened his ability. In Kizaru's view, although Eniru's talent is good, he has experienced too few battles and cannot reach the point where he can awaken the thunder fruit. What if people with natural abilities can awaken so easily, and those with awakened natural abilities will not be so rare? How does a frog in a well know how big the world is? Enilu laughed loudly, and the thunder and lightning offensive increased sharply again. In the past, people from Qinghai laughed at him as a frog in the well. Now, it is his turn to laugh at others as a frog in the well, and the target is a naval admiral. At this moment, Enilu feeling extremely sour. Arrogant bastard. Kizaru's face darkened, he was obviously angry. Don't think that you can defeat me with the power of the awakening fruit, I am a naval admiral. As a naval admiral, Kizaru has a lazy personality and is used to fishing, but he also has his own pride. After sailing across the sea for decades, Kizaru will not tolerate being laughed at by a pirate. Boom! A fierce golden light comes from Kizaru. The body exploded, and countless laser bombs and laser flying swords were instantly formed and shot towards Eniru. Wherever the laser bombs and laser flying swords went, the deep clouds in the sky were torn apart, and the sea of thunder and lightning was penetrated. In an instant, a diameter circle appeared in the sky, a large hole over a kilometer long. Don't underestimate me, my abilities have been awakened long ago. Kizaru used the awakening move, and his combat power suddenly increased sharply, and he fought fiercely with Eniru. Yes, that's it, that's it. Eniru laughed wildly. Well done, how exciting would it be if we didn't fight like this? In the face of Kizaru's fierce offensive, Eniru did not retreat but advanced, and his fighting spirit became even higher. In the battle between two people with awakened natural abilities, every move contains great power. Thunder and laser collide, and every collision will cause a violent explosion. Fortunately, their battlefield was in the sky. If it were on land, I don't know how many pirates and navy would be hit by the aftermath of the battle, leaving no bones left. General Cyborg Kong looked at the battle in the sky, his face gloomy and angry. Eruption. Aokiji, Fujitora. Don't be stunned, hurry up and get rid of the pirates. Cyborg Kong gave the order, and then looked at Lucifer in the distance. He knew that Enel is not the key, Lucifer is the key. If you want to win this battle, you can only eliminate Lucifer. Otherwise, even if you kill them all pirates, they are still losers. As long as Lucifer survives for one day, his darkness will exist for one day, and the world will not be stable for one day. Aokiji and Fujitora obeyed the order and flew up. Two generals joined the battlefield. Shiro, the remnants of the bearded pirates and the red-haired pirates suddenly suffered numerous casualties. Letting generals deal with miscellaneous soldiers is a bit bullying the small ones. Lucifer in the distance smiled playfully, and immediately shouted coldly, Vabel, Shiliu. Yes. Nu. Vabel and Shiliu obeyed the order, and the two of them rushed out immediately, falling in front of Aokiji and Fujitora one after another. Boom. Vabel directly transformed into the form of a green dragon human beast, slashed with a knife, and rolled up a huge sword energy to break through the air. Came out. The ice shield created by Aoki Pheasant was shattered, and he himself was sent flying dozens of meters. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 226. Boom. The scorching flames spit out from Vabel's mouth and hit the blue pheasant, turning hundreds of meters in radius into a sea of fire. Shiliu flew into the sky, extracted the blood from the corpses on the battlefield, and turned it into a sea of blood. The sea of blood fused and condensed into a slashing attack, which shot out of the air and drowned Fujitora. Vabel and Shiliu took action and suppressed Aokiji and Fujitora for a while. Originally, their strength was not that strong, but Lucifer used the awakening fruit to awaken their devil fruit abilities. In order for the three of them to awaken their devil fruit abilities, Vabel, Shiliu of the Rain, and Enel spent 3 million killing points on Lucifer. Hateful. Seeing that the three generals were suppressed, Cyborg Kong's eyes were about to burst. With a loud bang, Cyborg Kong burst out of the air and rushed towards Lucifer with endless murderous intent. The three generals were stopped, and he, the chief general of the navy, had to join the battle. Got it? Die, Lucifer. Cyborg Kong directly opened the armed domineering field, covering Lucifer and the surrounding area of 100 meters. Once Lucifer's armed domineering field is opened, it can easily cover a range of tens of thousands of meters. Comparing the two, Cyborg Kong's field is undoubtedly larger, much weaker. Half-assed level. Lucifer shook his head inwardly. Like Whitebeard, Cyborg Kong's armed domineering domain can no longer be used. After all, he is already very old. The domain's coverage of 100 meters is already his limit. Phew. A bloody figure shot out from behind Lucifer and collided with the rushing Cyborg Kong. With a flash of sword light, Cyborg Kong was directly knocked away. Red Earl Rider appeared and slashed with his sword. It was just one breathing time, on. As a peak swordsman, each of Rider's flying slashes has the power to break mountains and seas. Cyborg Kong tried his best to resist, but was still slashed away. Cyborg, you're old. The Red Earl spread out his bat wings and floated in the air, looking down at Cyborg Kong with a cold voice. We haven't seen each other for decades. I didn't expect that you and I would have a chance to fight each other. It's a pity that you are too weak now. The Red Earl shook his head indifferently, his eyes as deep as ice. Many years ago, the Red Earl and Cyborg had defeated him in a one-on-one duel. If Garp and the Navy hadn't taken advantage of his weak strength, the Red Earl would not have been caught. Regardless, whether it was in his youth or now, Cyborg was a complete loser in front of the Red Earl. Without further ado, Ganga Khan climbed up from the ruins and spat out a mouthful of blood. I'm not dead yet, Ryder, it's too early to be proud. Boom. The ground exploded, steel bones rose into the sky, and a huge shockwave of fist power broke through the air and blasted towards the Red Earl. Immediately, the two began to fight to the death. Lucifer did not pay attention to the battlefield, his attention was always focused on the plate. The ancient city. The domineering power of the sight and color is fully unleashed, firmly locking the auras of Im and the Eight Kings. Still not coming out. If we don't come out, the Navy will be completely wiped out. Whether it's high-level combat power or low-level elites, the Netherworld pirates are all superior to the Navy. Although the Navy has 500,000 elites, they are all a bunch of rubbish and don't have much powerful combat power at all. After all, fighting on a desert island, the middle and high-level leaders of the Navy were almost washed away by Lucifer's blood. Buzz. The space suddenly rippled, and an invisible attack broke out, arriving in front of Lucifer in an instant. Wall of vacuum. Lucifer stood on the spot, neither dodging nor dodging. The wall of vacuum formed, blocking the invisible attack. A tall figure wearing a golden mask appeared out of thin air beside Lucifer. With a wave of his hand, he fired out a giant sword energy. Flying to Lucifer's neck. Only one person would be looking down on me. Lucifer's face was expressionless, and there was a cold light in his eyes. He raised his hand and grabbed it, and the giant sword energy slash was instantly shattered. All things are attracted by heaven. Seeing that the attack failed, a trace of horror flashed through the eyes under the golden mask. However, before the man could react, a strong gravitational force had already acted on him. When the man came back to his senses, he realized that his neck had been touched by Lucifer. Hold it in your hand. Stop. You miserable pariah, how dare you? Put down Iria. Lord Iria. Several golden masked figures and the 5 old stars roared at the same time. However, the words stopped suddenly. They only heard a click, and the manly breath in Lucifer's hand suddenly died. He tilted his neck and was thrown away by Lucifer. To the side. Ding, the host killed Iolia, one of the 8 kings of the celestial dragons, and obtained 500,000 killing points. Be bold. Damn pariah, what have you done? You dare to kill the great celestial dragon king, you are dead. On the roof of Pangu City, the 3 golden masked 8 kings roared one after another, and the 5 old stars also roared in anger. With several loud explosions, the roof of Pangu City was broken, and 4 more 8 kings appeared on the roof. 8 heavenly dragons and people king, except for Iolia who died in the hands of Lucifer, the other 7 have arrived. Damn pirate, suffer death. The 5 old stars roared and rushed towards Lucifer. The 5 people were so fast that they could only see the black shadow flash past. The 5 people came to the sky above Lucifer's head. The 5 old stars simultaneously opened the armed domineering field, and the range more than 500 meters. The fields of the 5 people merged, and their power increased several times. Evil and sinful people do not deserve to live in this world. Today is your death day. Go to hell. The 5 old stars took action at the same time. The blonde 5 old stars punched out both fists, and they were actually strong in physical skills. The armed color and domineering energy combined with the strength of the fists created a giant shockwave, roaring towards them. The curly-haired 5 old stars are the ones with animal fruit abilities. It has transformed into a dinosaur, and its hands have turned into sharp claws, exuding a cold light. Lucifer recognized it at a glance. This is the form of the ancient animal species Therizinosaurus. The bearded 5 old stars' abilities are unknown, but he chooses to fight in close combat. Not only is the armament and domineering skills good, but the fruit ability is also a secret move. The bald 5 old stars condensed the air to stir up strong winds, and the strong winds formed bows and arrows in his hands. He opened the bow and shot 7 storm arrows towards Lucifer. Finally, the sword-wielding Wu Laoxing is a peak swordsman, and his swordsmanship is stronger than that of Hawkeye. The first-generation guide took out his sheath and struck directly with a giant slash. Before the slash could reach, the ground was torn apart by the sword energy. Wu Lao Star's attack broke out at the same time. The process seemed long, but only in an instant. In just an instant, Lucifer was already surrounded by 5 people's killing moves. Die! The roar of the 5 old stars spread throughout Marijoya, attracting countless eyes. Each of the 5 old stars' killing moves possesses the power to destroy the world. Even a naval admiral will do it when faced with the encirclement of 5 people. Falling instantly, Lucifer slowly raised his palm, aimed at the incoming killing move, and whispered coldly, "Disappear 760. As soon as he finished speaking, the world-destroying attack of the 5 old stars dissipated instantly, leaving only a wisp of breeze, as if it had never appeared. What? How can this be? Word spirit fruit. Not good. Run away. Between the lightning and flint, the 5 old stars trembled and quickly chose to retreat and escape. However, it was too late. From the moment they took action against Lucifer, they were destined to be 5 dead people. Shinra Tianzhang. Lucifer clapped his palm, and the invisible repulsion combined with the high-density armed domineering energy bombarded the 5 old stars. With a bang, the fleeing 5 old stars suddenly turned into 5 pieces of meat and exploded. Ding! The host killed the 5 old stars and obtained 450,000 killing points. Ding! The host killed the 5 old stars and obtained 480,000 killing points. Ding! The host killed the 5 old stars and obtained 475,000 killing points. Ding! The host killed the 5 old stars and obtained 430,000 killing points. Ding! The host killed the 5 old stars and obtained 448,000 killing points. 5 consecutive beeps sounded, and Lucifer collected more than 2 million killing points. Countless Marines looked at the sky blankly, their bodies trembling uncontrollably, and they were unable to even wipe away the flesh and blood scattered on their faces. Wulaoxing, dead. How can it be? That's the 5 old stars. Lucifer is so scary. Sure enough, Lucifer is invincible and we are no match for him. The fall of the 5 old stars caused the morale of the Navy to completely collapse. The remaining Navy immediately began to flee, and screams and shouts of horror came one after another. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 227. 5 losers actually died like that. One of the 8 kings, Ligonos, cursed in a low voice. It doesn't matter if the trash is dead, but it's different for this untouchable. We underestimated him, he is very strong. Those 5 idiots weren't exaggerating. Another 8 kings also spoke. Iolia was killed by him, and he must avenge him. You guys should be careful, don't capsize in the gutter. A man wearing dark skin and a dark devil mask stepped forward and whispered. Unlike the other 7 people, this 8th king was the only one wearing a devil's mask. Phew. The black shadow flashed, and the 8th devil king suddenly he rose from the sky and teleported to the sky. Huge black wings spread out from his back, and then expanded the black demonic realm. An extremely evil aura spread out, covering the entire Marijoya. Demonic light. Countless black light balls took shape and turned into dark demonic laser rays that fell from the sky and hit the crowd of Marijoya. Hit by the demonic light, whether they were marines or pirates, their bodies all dissipated into nothingness, leaving no trace left. In an instant, tens of thousands of people were dead. The devil's light did not have terrifying destructive power, nor did it have the power to destroy the world. But the terrifying lethality it displayed still made countless people tremble and fear. Trembling. Phew. Thick demonic light fell from the sky and shot towards Lucifer. The space was solidified, and the distance of 10,000 meters was extremely short. Demonic power. Looking at the celestial dragons showing off their abilities, Lucifer sneered. Destiny is often such a coincidence. When competing with the power of demons, Lucifer is not afraid of anyone. Boom. The terrifying demonic aura erupted from Lucifer's body, instantly forming a roaring shockwave came out. The demonic light of the 8 demon kings was hit by the shockwave, and was instantly defeated and dissipated into nothingness. Come down. Looking at the 8 demon kings in the sky, Lucifer whispered. As soon as he finished speaking, the 8 demon kings found themselves teleporting in front of Lucifer. His body was out of control, like a controlled puppet. Before the 8 demon kings could be frightened, Lucifer had already stretched out his right hand. Just a simple movement of reaching out, but it made the 8 demon kings feel unparalleled fear. That hand was obviously so slow, it was clearly visible in his eyes. But the 8 demon kings felt that they could not escape the control of that hand. His consciousness reacted instantly, wanting to dodge and retreat. However, his body is not controlled by his brain. When he came back to his senses, the 8 demon kings found that their necks had been pinched by Lucifer. The demonic form of the animal-type fantasy beast. It's a pity that it's just a fake devil. The cold voice rang in the ears of the 8 demon king, bringing him incomparable terror and oppression. The 8 demon king's whole body shivered, and his whole body trembled, and endless fear surged in his heart. Stop, I am. Click. Before the 8 demon kings could finish speaking, Lucifer had already broken his neck. Ding, the host killed Esteros, one of the 8 kings of the celestial dragons, and obtained 600,000 killing points. The system's prompt sounded, and Lucifer recovered his devil fruit at the same time. Just as Lucifer guessed, this is a phantom beast species. The animal-type phantom beast species, the human fruit demon form. This is the most top-notch fruit. Devil fruit has unparalleled power. Esteroth's strength is also extremely terrifying. Unfortunately, the person he faces is Lucifer, an absolute world-class powerhouse. Lucifer kills him like an ant, and Esteroth no chance to show strength at all. Esteros. Hateful. He actually killed another person. Come on, everyone. Destroy this untouchable. I will cut him into pieces and crush his bones into ashes. The remaining 8 kings burst out at the same time. One person grew in size and instantly turned into a giant bull. The giant bull was wrapped in jet black flames. Wherever it went, the space was distorted, rocks melted, and countless pirate navy were burned to ashes. One person has two wings on his back, fluttering and soaring. His body looks like an ox but not an ox, like a horse or a Pegasus. He roars like a dragon, and the sound waves roar in all directions. One person roars, with fangs growing out of his mouth, a tail growing out of his back, and his body is violent. It multiplied several times and turned into a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. One person's speed increased sharply and turned directly into a golden lightning. The speed was so fast that it split into countless after-images. One person turned into a black dragon with two horns on its head and scales on its body, opening his mouth and spitting out flames. The last person turned into a red bird with 9 heads, wrapped in red flames, exuding endless violence. The 6-8 kings are not ancient species, they are phantom beast species and have weird superpowers. Although there is no natural system, each ability is the best among the best, surpassing countless devil fruits. And without exception, they have all developed devil fruits to the point of awakening. Realm. The 6-8 kings not only activated their abilities at the same time, but also opened the armed domineering realm at the same time. Eternal life brings them infinite practice time. These people are all talented people, and of course they have already entered the domineering realm. Among them, 3 of them not only opened the realm of armed domineering, but also opened the domain of overlord domineering. Suddenly, the 9 realms roared in and enveloped the entire Marijoya. Lucifer was the first to be crushed by the fusion of multiple realms. When the moment it was turned on, countless pirates and marines above Marijoya exploded at the same time, turning into blood mist and exploding. Whether it was the armed color Hacky Field or the overlord colored Hacky Field, they all had automatic attacks. Ability. The power of every domineering attack is extremely terrifying. Ordinary navy and pirates cannot resist it. Only the Navy elite lieutenant general can barely survive. The 9 major areas are fully opened, and Marijoya is swept away in an instant. What remains, more than 300,000 sailors were killed in an instant, and all the tens of thousands of pirates brought by Lucifer were also killed. In the blink of an eye, Marijoya has become a purgatory on earth. Corpses are everywhere and rivers of blood flow. Boom! Lucifer, with a wave of his hand, he also opened the armed color and overlord color domineering fields. While resisting the attacks from the 9 major fields, he rescued the remaining cotters of the Netherworld pirates. The bottom pirates of the Netherworld pirates were almost completely wiped out, and only the cotters survived. After being rescued by Lucifer, everyone took a breath of cold air. In just a moment, all of them were on the verge of death. If Lucifer hadn't rescued them in time, they would have died. Horrible, too terrible. What power is this? This is the domineering realm that the captain mentioned. It's really scary after turning it on. All the cotters have lingering fears. Only when they have truly faced this force can they know how terrifying it is. In the face of that overwhelming power, they cannot think of any resistance and can only wait for death in despair. Tens of thousands of Sea Lucifer didn't take it seriously when the thief was killed. If the pirates at the bottom died, they would die, and there were many pirates in the sea. As long as he said a word, he could form another ghost pirate group in an instant. But the Navy did not. It's different. You know, naval soldiers are not cannon fodder. Maybe in the eyes of the 8 kings, naval soldiers are like ants, killing them doesn't matter. But in the eyes of senior Navy officials, it's different. They are all living lives. The loyal, goodly soldiers of the Navy. If they died in the hands of pirates, they would have nothing to say. But now, they died in the hands of the Tianlong people they wanted to protect. I have to say, this is a big deal satire. No, no, no. Why is this happening? Gang Gakong looked blankly at the flesh and blood earth under his feet, his eyes were lifeless, and his heart was extremely despairing. You must know that there are hundreds of thousands of naval soldiers, which is the entire strength of the Navy. Once these people die, the Navy will cease to exist in name only. In the heart of Cyborg Kong endless anger and murderous intent emerged, as well as infinite sorrow. He felt sad for himself and the dead naval soldiers. They were obviously fighting for the world government and the celestial dragons, but now, they all died in the world government and the celestial dragons. In the hands of the celestial dragons. Who are they? What are they guarding? What is the point of their desperate fight here? Cyborg Kong has long known the bad nature of the celestial dragons, and he has long been dissatisfied with the celestial dragons. Praise. But he has never doubted justice. But today, at this moment, the justice and faith in Cyborg Hollow collapsed. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 228. Why kill them? Kang Gakong looked up to the sky and roared. Unfortunately, no one in the Six Kings was looking at him, and no one paid attention to him. In the eyes of the Six Kings, Cyborg Kong was just an ant like the hundreds of thousands of dead Marines, and he had no right to let them have a look. How could the superior gods care about the life and death of ants? Red Earl Rider smiled coldly, and chopped the steel skeleton away with a sword. On the other side, the three Navy generals, Dao Tu, T. Dolphin, and other remaining senior Navy officials looked at the corpses and flesh all over the Navy, and they also felt a sense of sorrow for the death of rabbits and foxes. What are you doing standing still? The battle is not over yet. Enilu, Vabel, and Zilio took advantage of the victory to pursue the victory and press the three generals of the Navy to fight. The three generals had no idea of continuing to fight at this moment, and the justice in their hearts had also been shaken. They fought desperately for the government of the world, however, the world government treats them as ants and kills them whenever they want. In this case, is it necessary to fight for the world government? The first to retreat was General Fujitora. Among the three, his justice is undoubtedly the purest and most powerful. At this point, Fujitora was disheartened. Seeing him retreat, Shiryu did not pursue him. On the other side, General Kizaru also turned into a golden light and shot overseas. However, Eniru did not want to let him go and directly turned into a bolt of lightning chased after him. General Aokiji returned to the remaining top brass of the Navy, using his body to protect their safety, sharing the attacks brought by the domineering domain, and relieving the pressure on his companions. Sengoku entrusted the Navy to him before his death, and Aokiji could not abandon him. The Navy didn't care, so he didn't leave. At this moment, Aokiji was already determined to die. The vacuum wall formed and dispersed all the attacks of the Six Kings. Domineering Field. Lucifer opened the Armed Color and Overlord Color domineering fields at the same time. The fields covered the entire Marijoya, and their power was several times stronger than the fusion fields of the Six Kings. Boom. This is impossible. The Six Kings were shocked, with endless horror and fear on their faces. Nothing is impossible, let's hit the road. Ragnarok. Lucifer raised his hand and pointed, and the clouds in the sky were suddenly torn apart by the golden light, and a huge golden sword crashed down. An endless sense of oppression exploded, sweeping across dozens of miles. Block. Kill. Damn untouchable. The Six Kings were furious and used all their fighting power to resist this killing move. Unfortunately, they were too weak. Even if the six of them joined forces, they were still far behind. Bang! Tyrannosaurus Rex, one of the Six Kings, was killed first, and his body it exploded and turned directly into blood mist. Immediately afterwards, the second Six Kings were also hit by the sword energy, and no bones were left. Lord help me. The remaining four kings tried their best to resist, but all the huge sword energy forced them to kneel on the ground, and they could only scream and beg for mercy. Boom! The huge Pangu city exploded, and a figure teleported over, waved his hand and struck, sending out a powerful shock wave, hitting a huge golden sword. Seeing I'm appearing, Lucifer's lips curled up, finally it's out. While sneering, Lucifer raised his hand and pressed down, and the golden sword that had never fallen suddenly fell down. Clang! The sword energy swept past, and the bodies of the four kings immediately turned into fly ash and disappeared. The sword energy did not dissipate and penetrated into the red earth continent. Split the entire Marijoya, thousands of meters deep. Lucifer split the red earth continent across the world with a huge gap, and the entire Marijoya has been completely destroyed. Untouchable, you pissed me off. I'm looked at Lucifer and burst out with endless murderous intent. The three-color domineering field was fully opened and blasted towards Lucifer in an instant. Lucifer also used the three-color domineering field to fight back. Not only did he block Im's attack, but he also defended the siege. Mu was hit by the attack and took a step back, his face even more ugly. Previously, Lucifer did not use all his strength, just waiting for Im to appear. As soon as Im appeared, Lucifer killed all the 8 kings in front of him. This was not only it slapping Im in the face and killing his heart. Auranos! Im roared, and a roar suddenly came from below the ruins of Marijoya. Immediately, the red earth continent began to tremble. With a loud noise, the red earth continent exploded directly, and a huge red dragon soared into the sky. From the red earth continent it flew up to the clouds in the sky below. It was 10,000 meters long, blocking out the sky and the sun, and one eye was as big as a lake. In front of it, humans were not as big as ants. King Uranus finally comes out. Still in the mature stage. Lucifer has read the records and knows that the King of Heaven, who is over 10,000 meters tall, has reached maturity. The world government has been established for 800 years, which is enough time for them to train the King of Heaven to maturity. Untouchable, suffer death. I'm teleported to the top of the King of Heaven, looking down at Lucifer from above. King Uranus opened his huge mouth and spit out a giant pillar of fire towards Lucifer. The diameter of the pillar of fire was more than hundreds of meters, Sieg, and it was like a tsunami of flames rushing towards Lucifer. Come! Roar! There was a roar from the sky behind Lucifer, and the same tsunami of flames erupted, blocking Auranos' attack. Im's face changed, and he looked up at the sky and saw a huge thing tearing through the clouds, the same endless body shape, the ferocious aura, and the same breath as King Uranus. That behemoth is clearly King Uranus. However, this Uranus is just a skeleton, without flesh and blood. But its momentum and ferocity are no less powerful than those of Auranos under his feet. King of Heaven. After ruling the world for 800 years, Im is rarely surprised. But at this moment, even he can no longer remain calm. That's right, it's the King of Heaven. Lucifer also teleported to the top of the Heavenly King. The two Heavenly Kings faced each other in the sky, and their extremely violent momentum collided with each other, directly tearing apart the clouds and the sea. Devil fruit. Im instantly guessed that Lucifer was the king resurrected with devil fruit. Yes, it fell for 800 years, and today I let it take revenge. Everything is guided by fate. Huh, dead things are not as good as living things after all. They are just dead dragons, so what's there to be afraid of? Roar. The Heavenly King under Im's feet opened his mouth and spit out a violent storm. The storm swept across, and each storm seemed to be able to easily tear apart a mountain. The power of each storm was comparable to the slashing of the peak swordsman. The white-bone Heavenly King also roared, dark clouds formed in his mouth, shooting giant lightning, destroying the storm. The Bone King has no organs, no flesh and blood, but Lucifer gave it life with the soul fruit. The Bone King can use the power of the soul fruit to create flames, thunder and lightning, and storms. Everything is natural, it can use the power of the elements. Not only that, the White Bone King has no vital points, and the source of all life comes from the soul fruit in the black sword Qiu Shui. In other words, as long as the black sword Qiu Shui is fine, the white bone king will not die. Boom. 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 The heavenly king and the bone heavenly king fought fiercely, with waves of fire, thunder, and lightning, howling winds, roars and hisses. The battle between the heavenly kings was too terrifying, and every move contained extremely terrifying power. The clouds in the sky were covered by torn apart, the red earth continent was shattered, and the sea rolled up huge waves. Hundreds of miles around were their battlefields. Even if a naval admiral was involved, he would be killed instantly. The 8 kings are dead, the battle of the heavenly kings has begun, now it's your turn. Heavenly punishment thunder tribulation. Lucy shouted coldly, and thunder rang in the sky. Thick thunder and lightning fell from the sky, hitting him instantly. The thunder and lightning fell suddenly, penetrated the red earth continent, hit the deep sea, and immediately opened a huge hole in the sea with a diameter of more than a kilometer. The thunder and lightning ocean in the middle, walked out slowly, unscathed. His long hair was flying, and he burst out with extreme violence. Spear of sin. Raised his hand and clawed his hand, and countless jet black spears suddenly appeared and shot at Lucifer. The spears were extremely fast, and combined with Im's 3-color domineering field, each one could instantly kill a general-level powerhouse. Creation of the void. Dissipate. Using the word spirit fruit to eliminate the killing move, Lucifer stared at Im in front of him, a little surprised. Apart from his word spirit fruit, this was the first time Lucifer saw a second person possessing the power of void creation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 229. Thunder Disaster of Heaven. Lucifer raised his hand and pointed, and endless lightning shot down from the sky, hitting Im's body turned into fly ash and completely dissipated. But the cold murderous aura appeared out of thin air behind Lucifer. The sharp sword covered it. The high-density armed domineering force struck at Lucifer's neck. Bang! The sound of metal collision resounded in all directions, and one of Lucifer's fingers blocked Im's sneak attack killing sword. Fall. The surging gravity exploded and crushed Im, making him bend down immediately. Before Im could counterattack, Lucifer had already punched Im in the chest. The armed domineering armor shattered into pieces. Im turned into a stream of light and hit the red earth continent hard. The rocks were broken, the ground shook, and a corner of the red earth continent was shattered. Crush it. Explode. Fall. Lucifer activated the power of the word spirit fruit to form a unique gravity field and a wall of vacuum, which crushed Im's body layer by layer. The red earth continent was unable to withstand such a terrifying force, and was shattered layer by layer. The tens of thousands of meters high red earth continent, bursting layer by layer. At the same time, the invisible power of the word spirit fruit was still attacking Im's internal organs. Im vomiting blood, the skin all over his body was chapped, and countless small cracks were broken, like a spider web. Everything is reduced to ashes. A roar came from the ruins, and a dazzling beam of light rose into the sky and penetrated the clouds. The gravity field created by Lucifer was instantly broken. Im flew into the sky, with disheveled hair and blood constantly flowing down from his body. Untouchable, you pissed me off. Turn into dust. A transparent beam of light bloomed from Im's hand and shot towards Lucifer. The beam of light swept past, and part of the red earth continent disappeared instantly, forming a ravine deep into the seabed. The red earth continent was cut off with one blow. Lucifer appeared in the void. Looking at the red earth continent being split in half, I felt my blood boiling. Good, Good, happy. That's how it should be. Ragnarok. Lucifer raised his hand and landed with a palm. The golden giant sword tore through the clouds again and shot at Im. Transparent light pillars appeared in the palms of Im's hands and shot at the giant swords. The two collided. The moment the extreme moves collided, the sky and the earth turned pale. All sounds disappeared. Then, a huge mushroom cloud formed in the sky, and shock waves swept hundreds of miles around. The terrifying high temperature evaporated the sea, and the shock waves destroyed everything. The red Earth continent could not withstand this terrifying force. Boom! A sun appears on the sea, and the shock wave destroys everything. Even though it is hundreds of miles away from the sea, the dazzling light of the sun can be clearly seen. The moment they see the sun, countless people around the world go blind. Eyes burned by strong light. Swallowed by black hole. The devil's whisper rang out in the sun, and a black hole formed, swallowing up all the shock waves and flames. By the time the horrific aftermath dissipated, part of the red Earth continent had been completely destroyed. With Marijoa's location as the center of the circle, there were more than 10 miles on both sides. The red Earth continent within the scope has completely disappeared. This giant red dragon that spanned the world was completely cut off today. Clang! The dark sword light flashed, and Lucifer appeared behind Yumua. The red blood flew into the sky. Yumua fled quickly and teleported 1,000 meters away. A bloody severed arm flew into the air, telling the disastrous defeat of King Yumua of the dragon people. Lucifer turned around, holding a black longsword in his hand. Before Im's broken arm fell, it had already turned into ashes and scattered in the wind. Im was horrified, and there was a rare hint of fear in his cold eyes. How does it feel to feel pain again after 800 years? Lucifer sneered. Im didn't respond. He quickly stopped the bleeding. At the same time, black material emerged from the broken arm and formed a new arm. However, Lucifer could sense that it was not a human arm, but a demon's. The creation of the fruit. Im's devil fruit ability obviously cannot allow him to truly regenerate his severed limbs. This is the devil's sword, which can completely crush and destroy anything it cuts off. Even time cannot make it reborn. Lucifer raised the black sword and spoke coldly. It is your lifelong honor to die under the sword of the devil. As soon as the words fell, Lucifer disappeared immediately. Seeing this, Im immediately teleported away. However, the next second, a sword light passed over Im's body, and another arm flew into the air. The devil's sword was unsheathed, and then Im's arm was broken. Both arms were broken, and Im said nothing. With his strength, it was obvious that he could withstand the pain of a broken arm. But what Im couldn't accept was that he was defeated. Rule the world in the year 800, he was actually defeated by a pariah, which Im couldn't bear. The humiliation endured by his soul was thousands of times more painful than the severe pain of his body. Times, which made Im almost crazy. Whoosh! 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 Im fled all the way, Lucifer was chasing after him. Although Im's speed was fast, it was not faster than Lucifer. The sword light was everywhere, and Im's body there were several more wounds. Just as Lucifer said, everything struck by the devil's sword will be shattered and dissipated. As the attack worsened, Im's injuries became more and more serious, and his breath became weaker and weaker. The wrath of the god of thunder. When Im fled, he turned around and pointed, and a thunder god with a height of 10,000 meters suddenly took shape. The thunder god triggered the 9-day thunder and blasted towards Lucifer. Lucifer held the devil's sword in his hand and slashed with the sword. The sword light passed quickly, the god of thunder was immediately split into two. Under the erosion of the devil's power, the thunder and lightning was also corroded and destroyed. Boom! Im seems to have reached the limit. The power of the three-color domineering field he deployed dropped sharply, and the coverage area shrank to only 1 kilometer. It's over, cut the sea with one sword. Lucifer slashed angrily with his sword, and the black sword energy stretched thousands of meters, hitting the fleeing Im. The three-color domineering field was shattered, and the sea was completely torn. The sea water was constantly being corroded, and the sword marks left by the sword energy seemed to be no longer there. It cannot be healed. The sea was completely split. Im's fleeing figure finally stopped, and his body was completely opened from the center of his eyebrows to the bottom. No blood flowed out of the wound, because the blood had disappeared under the erosion of the devil's power. No. Ken, Abel. Even though he was split in half, Im didn't die immediately. Maybe it was the strong vitality that the immortality surgery brought to him, or maybe it was the strength that his devil fruit brought to him. In short, Im didn't die immediately. But Lucifer could feel that Im's breath was rapidly weakening. Even if he was not dead now, he wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Roar. The sky rang with the roar of King Uranus. The roar contained endless anger and sadness. The King of Heaven and his master are one, and their minds are connected. Each King of Heaven will only follow one master in his life. The King of Heaven can naturally feel that Im is about to fall. He wants to come over to save Im, and wants to kill Lucifer to avenge Im. But unfortunately, with the existence of the Bone King, it cannot escape. Send you one last journey. Lucifer shot out and flew up with the devil's sword. The light of the sword was fleeting, and Im's head had already risen into the sky. The breeze blew, and Im's head and body all turned into fly ash and dissipated. Ding, the host kills Im, the king of the celestial dragons, and gets 2 million killing points. The system's beep sounded, announcing Ymu's complete death. The reward for killing Ymu was huge, with a total of 2 million killing points, but now Lucifer no longer cares about the killing points. Be reborn. Lucifer recovered Im's devil fruit, which is a colorful fruit with spiral patterns all over its body. Lucifer has never seen this fruit, and there is obviously no record of it within the world government. But Lucifer knows, its power is very powerful. Roar. A huge tsunami of flames shot down from the sky. The King of Heaven did not hesitate to let the King of Bones pierce its belly with his claws, but also wanted to take action against Lucifer. The King of Heaven will only have one master in his life, and he will live and die with his master. Now that Im is dead, the King of Heaven will naturally not live alone. That's all, let's send you on your way. Although the King of Heaven is no different from an ordinary sea king in front of Lucifer. The devil's sword cuts through the void, leaving only a black line. The black sword energy flashes past, and the head of King Uranus has been pierced. The body of the 10,000-meter-long King Uranus fell from the sky and hit the red Earth continent hard. Uranus's body hung down from both sides of the red Earth continent, like a noodle hanging from a chopstick. Great Voyage, Invincibility begins from the word spirit fruit. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 230. It's over. Lucifer fell from the sky, and the Bone King was suspended behind it, looking down at the ruins at his feet. The king of the heavenly dragons, Im, had been killed, and the king of heaven, Uranus, had also been beheaded. The powerful combat power of the heavenly dragons had all been wiped out. Cyborg, Ching Pheasant, do you have anything else to say? Lucifer looked at the corner of the red continent, where the remaining navy was huddled. Kizaru fled, Fujitora was defeated, 500,000 elite navy troops were wiped out, and only 2 or 3 big cats and kittens were left in the navy. You win, Lucifer. Winner or loser, we have nothing to say. Let's do it. Gangu Kong, Ching Pheasant, Tao Rabbit, T Dolphin, and several vice admirals stepped forward and stood in a row. 707, and they knew exactly what would happen to the losers. Farewell. Lucifer raised his hand and pressed it, and the gravity field exploded, covering Steel Bone Kong, Ching Pheasant, and others. Bang. The space shook slightly, and everyone turned into powder and dissipated, leaving no bones. 1. We won. In the distance, Cavendish, Jack, Baby 5 and other cotters cheered and roared. The war situation has been decided, and the world government has been defeated. Isn't it natural that we can win? Captain Lucifer is invincible. The world is ours. Every cotter of the Nether pirates fell into a state of extreme excitement. While Lucifer killed I'm and King of Heaven, the battle scenes here were also spread throughout the world through video phone bugs. The whole world was shocked, and countless countries fell into panic. From today on, I am the king of the world. The kings of various countries came to the Red Earth continent immediately to declare their allegiance and submission. Anyone who stubbornly resists will be destroyed. At the same time, the aristocratic status of the celestial dragons in the world was abolished, and a reward was placed on the heads of the celestial dragons. Every time you kill a Tianlong, you can get a bounty of 100 million Baileys. Seeing the order given by Lucifer, all the celestial dragons hiding in the dark were scared to death. At this moment, they were finally afraid. The scene of Lucifer killing I'm, the king of the celestial dragons, destroyed all their pride and dignity. The Tianlong people have completely become the most despicable race in the world. Even an individual can kill them. You guys clean up the mess, and I'll take care of the last few people. After the words fell, Lucifer disappeared into the sky. 100 miles away in the sea, a pirate ship was fleeing quickly. Blackbeard was standing on the bow of the ship, roaring loudly. Hurry, hurry up, haven't you eaten yet? Speed me up. It can be seen that Blackbeard is very scared, his body keeps shaking, and he is covered in cold sweat. Blackbeard will look behind him from time to time. Only when he sees that no one is chasing him will he feel better. Originally, he wanted to do it at the last moment. He was a bargain in the battle, but after seeing the battle between Lucifer and I'm, he immediately gave up the idea. Lucifer was too strong, so powerful that it was beyond Blackbeard's imagination. It was simply not something he could deal with. Now Blackbeard just wanted to escape, and the further away from the Red Earth continent, the better. Phew. The strong wind blew, Lucifer came through the wind, and suddenly appeared in front of the Blackbeard pirates over the regiment. Lucifer. Seeing Lucifer appear, Blackbeard's eyes suddenly widened, his legs softened, and he slumped directly on the deck. At the same time, his crew members all fell to their knees in fear. Lucifer, row. Boom. Blackbeard wanted to say spare his life, but before he could say the word spare, a black light had already passed over the pirate ship. Black light first cut off Blackbeard's head, and then split the pirate ship in two. With a loud bang, the Blackbeard pirate ship turned into a fireball, and all members were killed. Lucifer turned into a stream of light and shot into the distance, never giving Blackbeard a second glance. In the original work, this big pirate with huge ambitions and single-handedly overturned the world's structure was extremely weak in Lucifer's eyes. Lucifer wasn't even interested in looking at him. Call. 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 A sonic boom sounded in the sky, Lucifer fanned the devil's wings, and flew as fast as a stream of light. Soon, Lucifer arrived at the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, the island of White Earth. Through the Hacky scan, it was confirmed that all the Revolutionary Army cotters headed by Long were gathered here. No nonsense, Lucifer directly opened the three-color domineering field, and then struck Ragnarok, completely destroying the Revolutionary Army headquarters. At this point, the Revolutionary Army was destroyed, and no powerful force in the world could threaten Lucifer. As Lucifer's order spread throughout the world, the kings of various countries all set sail for the center of the Red Earth continent. Pursued by the whole world, the Tianlong people were completely exterminated, and no one survived. Lucifer established a new empire of his own, the Netherworld Empire. 3 years later, in the center of the Red Continent, a huge gap ran through the Red Continent, connecting the first half of the Great Line to the New World. From now on, when entering the new world from the first half of the Grand Line, there is no need to pass through Fishman Island, and the level of danger is greatly reduced. Above the gap, a splendid castle stands. This is the palace of the Netherworld, the palace belonging to Lucifer, the king of the world. 5.8 On the supreme throne of the void, Lucifer sat with arms in his arms. Below him, kneeling were hundreds of kings. Both kings from the world's official member countries and non-member countries are here. They are all kings of a country, but at this moment they all kneel at Lucifer's feet. In order to save their lives and protect their country, they must be loyal to Lucifer. Every year on this day, kings from all over the world come to the Netherworld Palace to worship, showing Lucifer's supreme status. Under Lucifer's rule, pirates around the world were effectively curbed. Without the evil Draco, the darkness of the world is eliminated. This world has ushered in a new era. Finished, scatter flowers.